Last week when Zoom made their announcement that Zoom was asking people to come back to work, to come into the office. One of my favorite headlines in a long time. So we said, well, we got to talk to Julie Bauke. Julie Bauke is the expert on all things related to work, trends, things that are happening, things that maybe should be happening. The Bauke Group is her company, and Julie joins us now. I don't know, Julie, I just loved it. Now, the other part of that headline, Julie, was the White House is telling people to come back from remote work as well. I didn't know they were out. That one wasn't as obvious to me. I thought the White House actually had people in the White House.
Yeah.
I know Julie's way. I had a meeting a few weeks ago, and I walked in, and there was no one there. And I said, "Where's the receptionist? You know, who normally greets you and says hi, and here's, we'll walk you back to your meeting." And the person said, "Well, the receptionist is working from home today."
The receptionist.
How does that?
If you like to be welcome, swing by her house. Julie, are you with us?
I am indeed.
Oh.
So, did you enjoy the Zoom headline as much as I did?
It wasn't surprising to me.
That's because you know this stuff.
That's because I know this stuff. That's right. They only said if you work within 50 miles, we want you in at least 2 days a week. And that's actually where I think we're going to land. I think most organizations are going to land somewhere in between. We never see you, and we have to see you 5 days a week. Because that's really, when you look at, there's no perfect answer, but when you look at what most organizations and people want and believe is best, it is a hybrid model. But then there's flexibility within that hybrid model. So, look, if employers had their way, in most cases, you'd probably be back 5 days a week, especially the C-level. They want people in 5 days a week. But if they have to go hybrid, most employers have said, we'd like to have you in 3 days a week. Now, on the other side of the desk, the employees have actually said, I'll do two. So that right now we're in this little bit of a tussle between how it's all going to fall out. But there's having everybody remote all the time has a lot of challenges to it. It's not necessarily ideal for anybody, and we've got a lot of data to back that up. But at the same time, neither's the other way. It's not necessarily great and productive and all the things we hope it would be to have everybody in 5 days a week.
Well, why can't we land on flex scheduling? Why can't we land, if it's business appropriate, why can't there be some sort of appropriate flex scheduling? Because, my short fuse, and this is from somebody who's been fired 10 times and is notoriously bad with management, but if I've taken the risk and I've invested in the company, I should be able to tell you whether or not I need you to be in the office, whether you agree or don't. And it seems like flex scheduling would handle a lot of this problem as opposed to, I'm only coming in 2 days a week.
Yeah, and that's where I think what we're seeing right now is companies are trying different things out. And just given sometimes what your profession is or what your job is inside of a company. So, for instance, IT people they've been working remote for a long time. The other end of the spectrum are people like hands-on people like, a receptionist, you would think, and occupational therapy, physical therapy, the trades. Those are the type of jobs that have to be done in person. And so your profession drives some of it, but also your industry drives some of it. Do you have the type of company where customers drop in, where you need to be there for customers and certain other things? That's a little bit harder. And so companies have to look at it and say, all right, what's required where we work? What really, and how much of this is just our bias that this is the way things have always been done, and how much of it is really we are measuring productivity and expectations and culture and collaboration and innovation, and we see that we need to do things differently. So each organization must make the decision based on what's best. But based on what's best is also a tricky phrase, because I don't think you can, as a leadership team, I don't think leadership teams know what's best without asking people who actually do the work for their input.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you have to take all their advice, but you can't, you need, if you expect them to get on board with what you're going to do, you better involve them in the discussion.
Julie, are companies building this into their pre-start pitches? And the reason I ask is that there's young people in my family, two are in between jobs right now. and one said, well, I'm not going to go back unless I can work when I want to work. So is this all being arranged before they're starting?
Yeah. And what's so scary is that there's a few things going on here also. Gen Z, not afraid to bounce from job to job.
Right.
And that's so unusual for those of us who aren't even Gen Z. I mean, young millennials. We're like, whoa, this is a different breed. And they also, I'm not sure if I've mentioned it on here before, but website Handshake, who connects new college grads with jobs, they released a report on what are those new college grads coming on their website and searching for. And they're searching, one of the most searched for phrases was jobs where I don't have to talk to anybody.
Oh,
God. This is not good for society. Nick, get in here with Julie.
Well, and I'm just curious. Along those same lines, though, when you're talking about the younger kids, and I've seen it happen where, okay, so-and-so can work from home, but so-and-so has to stay here because, he's the receptionist, right? He has to be here.
Yeah.
Oh, but that's unfair. And it seems that the younger generations, it's about fairness. Do employers take that into account? Because it really...
It's insane.
That's a good one, yeah.
So fair is not even a good word because it's what does the job require? I mean, if an occupational therapist or a physical therapist who's a hands-on job, if they start whining about what's fair, it's like, wait a minute, you picked this occupation. You knew this occupation had to be done in these four walls. And so I'll tell you what, employers are going to have to start getting comfortable with having these conversations around what the job requires. And we are not in a one-size-fits-all world. In the past, we could be. It's like, be here at 8, let's stay till 5.
I mean, Julie, here's the thing, and I've experienced it here, and this isn't old guy bitching here. This is just a fact. I have never come across anyone, where there is an office that you can go to that's within a reasonable commute distance from where you live. Not hours away, not other states, but within a reasonable distance. I've never come across anyone that says, this is best for my job if I work at home. All I hear is, this is best for me if I work at home. Well, the people that are paying you get a vote.
Right.
And it seems like they've given up their vote.
Well, here's what I would say. If you're saying, okay, I live near the office, but here's how I can do my job and still meet all my performance expectations and deliver great results. I believe it is up to you as the individual to make that case and show your employer how you can do that. And even if the employer says, okay, we'll do it on a trial basis, but understand, if we don't see these things we need to see and you aren't hitting expectations, you're expected to come back in. And so it's what people are really asking for, and maybe they're asking for it in a clunky way, is the flexibility to live their life and to get other things done, because life is very hard right now with very limited childcare, 2 incomes. And so people are saying, look, if you give me the smart people are saying, you give me flexibility. And in most cases, what people do is they go above and beyond because they know you respect them and you trust them as an adult. Now, the minute you start slacking off, I'm sorry, you lose that privilege.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it ought to be. But it should be a collaborative conversation that's based on performance goals and expectations. And if you've got a super high performer, and here's what we're seeing, which is so interesting. If you have a super high performer, like a superstar, and let's say during the pandemic they moved 2 or 3 states away, most companies are going to say, ooh, we don't want to lose that person,
right,
but we're going to make this little side deal. So it just starts to get really messy. If you're a better performer, you have more leverage. I mean, it's not unfortunate. It's the way it should be. No,
if you're a top producer for a company, you should get perks.
Yeah. And if so you have leverage. But if you are if you're kind of an average performer,
the diving Vaughn down the right field line.
I don't know. I don't know where that came from. I apologize. Tell me again.
I was like, are you saying that person's an average performer?
Yeah, right.
What are we doing? Yeah. But if you're an average performer at best, who could be easily replaced, you have less leverage. It's just life. And so be careful what you ask for. And so, I think there's just companies, they just have to get comfortable with leading instead of managing with one blanket policy.
Yeah, but I do think, and there's no argument here. You and I are on the same page. I do think employees have to be more realistic about what they are owed. You're not owed a job where you make the rules. You're owed an opportunity to prove your worth and therefore have a career.
Yep, absolutely, yeah. And see, let's just still remember, too, I have to keep reminding myself and everyone else of this. Gen Z is still really young, and they're going to do dumb things, and they're still figuring stuff out. And in some ways, because they haven't even been in an office environment for their entire career, they're behind on how things work. They probably finished college at home. They did an internship remotely. They maybe did their first couple years remotely, and so they haven't had the benefit of learning how all that works. And so they'll catch up. I mean, they're going to start having kids and, other obligations, and, they'll catch up. We're just seeing them mature in real time, and it ain't pretty, just like it probably wasn't pretty when we were 22.
Yeah, but you know what? You and I, next time we do this, I want to take this up with you as well. Not just Gen Z. Let's talk about the older folks who are taking advantage of this system. Because there's a lot of that. Thank you, Julie. And check out Julie Bauke on LinkedIn and the Bauke Group, Bauke, on LinkedIn, and also Google up the Bauke Group as well. We have flex scheduling on this show. We really do.
Oh, we do?
Yeah, I mean, people need to work from home. They work from home. I don't have issues with it. As long as you're bringing your A game, it's fine. But it does not, I'm here to tell you, it does not work in this office as a real-time example. And nobody's going to convince me otherwise, because I've seen it and I've seen the ineffectiveness of it. And to the market manager, Marv's credit, he's, instituted some new rules about people having to come back to work. But again, nobody's lining up going, you know what, it's the right thing to do for the company. They're going, oh, wait, whoa, I have stuff to do at home. Right. It's called a job.
Right. That laundry's not going to do itself.